So when I talk to Christians about my YouTube channel, a common response that I get is, why do you want to prove that there's not a God? And why do you want to convince everyone else that there's not one? I assume that people who make these sorts of comments have never actually watched any of my videos, because if they had, they would be aware that my videos are addressing religious arguments. I have never claimed that there is no God, because maybe there is a God. There is one last thing that I want to get out of the way before diving into the focal point of today's video. As I said earlier, a lot of people ask me why I want to disprove the existence of a God, or ask me why I don't want to believe in a God. But that is far from the truth. I do not care if gods exist or not. But that being said, I would actually be ecstatic to discover that gods do exist. That would literally be the most incredible discovery of human history. But currently there's not any evidence. There are, however, a lot of arguments for the existence of gods, but almost all of them fall into just a handful of categories, specifically the 5 proofs of Thomas Aquinas. And they are as follows. The unmoved mover. Nothing moves without a prior mover, therefore God must have been the first mover. The unmoved cause. Nothing is caused by itself. Every effect has a prior cause. Therefore, God must have been the first cause. The cosmological argument. There must have been a time when no physical things existed. But since physical things exist now, there must have been a time when they didn't, and someone must have brought them into existence. Therefore, God must have done it. The argument from degree. There are degrees of things, such as good and bad. Someone must have set the standard, therefore it must have been God. The teleological argument. Things look designed, so they must have been designed, therefore God must have been the designer. These arguments are terrible. They're logical fallacies, not proofs. All that they do is point to something that we do not know or cannot know and then say, oops, it must have been God. But as I have said before, the lack of data or understanding is always, only ever, the lack of data or understanding. It isn't evidence of anything else. And not knowing something doesn't mean that you get to make up an answer. And that is exactly what Thomas Aquinas and creationists do. Hey, look, science hasn't figured this out. It must have been my God. But I don't want to get into the arguments any more than that. I just wanted to point out that no, currently we do not have evidence or good reason to believe that gods exist at all. However, just because we don't have evidence for the existence of gods doesn't mean that gods don't exist, right? That is correct. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Can I prove that gods don't exist? No, I cannot. So, since I can't prove that gods don't exist, is that evidence that gods do exist? No, it isn't, for the same reason. The absence of evidence for absence is not evidence for presence. We cannot get any further than this. The concept of a creator God is unfalsifiable. It cannot be proven, nor can it be disproven. Until some sort of data concerning this subject magically appears, this debate can't even begin. People like Thomas Aquinas can toss around some word salad, but it doesn't get us anywhere. It's just philosophical nonsense. Maybe gods exist, and maybe they don't. No one can say for certain, or at least not honestly. Which is why there is no reason to believe that they do exist, and there is also no reason to believe that they don't. The only rational position is to withhold your belief until sufficient evidence is provided. And not just with gods, but with anything that's unfalsifiable. It's just like Carl Sagan said.
What is faith? It is belief in the absence of evidence. Now, I don't propose to tell anybody what to believe, but for me, believing when there's no compelling evidence is a mistake. The idea is to withhold belief until there is compelling evidence. And if the universe does not comply with our predispositions, okay, then we have the wrenching obligation to accommodate to the way the universe really is.
My lack of belief in gods is no different than my lack of belief in green aliens zipping around Earth and abducting random people. Maybe they are, they could be, but as of now that is unfalsifiable, for me anyway. So I don't believe that they are, and I don't believe that they aren't either. I am simply withholding my belief until sufficient evidence is available. And the same for Bigfoot. Maybe there are millions of them strategically hiding in the forests, but I've never seen one or any footage of them. So while I can't prove that they do not exist, I have no way to justify believing that they do, nor can I justify believing that they aren't, and therefore I am withholding my belief. This is the only honest position with anything that is unfalsifiable. All that being said, even if we could prove that there was a creator god or gods, it would not prove that it was the Judeo-Christian God. It would only get us as far as deism, not theism, and certainly not any specific religion. And it would not prove that this God cared about us, listened to our prayers, or created an afterlife. And it would not prove that this God was omnipotent, omniscient, or omnibenevolent, or even intelligent, or even conscious at all. Perhaps God is nothing more than some cosmic algorithm. This is why I don't care about the God conversation. It's too vague and has no real impact on anything. And there's absolutely no data to even begin discussing. All that we have is a universe. You can believe that it was created if you want to, but you can't support your belief with anything more than a hunch. Which is fine, I'm not going to think any less of you, and I'm not going to argue with you about it, or try to take away your freedom to perceive the universe in your own unique way. And I mean, sure, it's not logical, but it's not hurting anyone either. Or at least not until you start telling me that your God demands that I cut my foreskin off, or tell me that he hates gay people. And then tell me that he's going to torture everyone for eternity for not worshiping him and live according to his immoral, unscientific, unhistorical, contradictory book of fables. And then you start teaching your kids that the universe is 6,000 years old and that faith is more important than asking questions, and then tell them that they have to indoctrinate their friends on the playground or else they're going to burn in hell forever with everyone else who doesn't worship their God. And then you start telling me that I'm a horrible person for not playing along with your glorified role-playing event. Now you've got a problem. Maybe there is a God. I can't prove that there's not one, or two, or 100 trillion of them, but it really doesn't matter because it's not going to affect how I live my life. My love for someone isn't predicated on whether or not some interdimensional being places value on them. I love people because they deserve to be loved. So call me whatever you want. An atheist, an agnostic, a deist, an egotistic idiot. I really don't care. I don't have any reason to believe that gods exist, but I can't prove that they do or that they don't, and I'm not going to try to. But I am confident that if there is a God, it isn't Yahweh or any of the other man-made gods, because they're all petty and ignorant and no more impressive than the deserts that they fought over. The Bible claims to be inspired by the creator of the cosmos, but yet the biblical God knows nothing of cosmology. If he could have provided a map of the Milky Way galaxy, I would be willing to take a leap of faith. And if he could have provided a map of all of the nearby galaxies and said, I did it. Sure, maybe it was an alien from a highly advanced civilization just flexing his knowledge on us, but I would be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and follow what he had to say. If someone wants me to believe that they are the creator of the universe, they better not do it by playing telephone over the course of a couple dozen centuries. But if they do, for some bizarre reason, choose to take that approach, they better prove that they know at least a little something about the cosmos that they claim to have created, at bare minimum. And if there is a God, I do not for a moment believe that they would have the characteristics of a bloodthirsty, power-hungry, homophobic, misogynistic, hypocritical, bullying dictator. Because that's not a God, that's a man. But if you're a Christian, your job is to prove that this God specifically exists. I will never say for certain that there is no God, because I'm open to it. But I will say for certain that your God Yahweh does not exist, and your religion is both fictional and dangerous. And I will do my job to let the world know that. You can keep sharing Christian memes and I'll keep making badass videos, and we'll see who impacts the most people. And that's all that I've got to say for today. Check out my other videos and subscribe to me if you want to see more from me in the future. And click that bell button if you want to get a notification every time I upload some new content. I don't require you to drink my blood or eat my body, but you can share my videos if you're feeling a little freaky. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.